So after the whole Max Crosby situation, the Baltimore Ravens got their pass rusher. Trey Hendrickson, 4 years, $112 million contract. And he's a very good player. He's a very good player. Ranks, or since 2021, ranks second in the NFL in pressure rate, fourth in total sacks, and fourth in sacks that result in fumbles. That's a very good player. That's a very good player. He's entering year 10 now. $30 million a year, or about 30 or so, or 28 or so, right? It's a very good contract. A very good contract. He came on ever since he went to Cincinnati. He's a very good player. And the best news out of all of this, you do not have to give up two first round picks. And I just realized that Max Crosby's contract is around like $35 million a year. Or no, this year he'd be accounted for 35. So in a way, it is great news for the Baltimore Ravens. And how this went, and how this haul like went down, it does seem a little fishy, because from the outside looking in, you were all in on Max Crosby, and then suddenly you find some. So there's been speculation. People definitely are making out their theories, but in an effort to explain how this whole thing came down, the GM went on and said after losing Linderbaum, they were very much interested in having a Max Crosby Hendrickson pass rush, because they weren't because all that money going to the center was not there. So now, boom, they can have two premier pass rushers. Take that as you will. And in his 4 o'clock conference, he said, "I understand it, and we live in the age of skepticism and questions, and they're saying like they very much regret this." I don't. All I'm saying is, it's a good news. It's a good day for the Baltimore Ravens, because they got a premier pass rusher. I do think in Cincinnati he had to be Superman, and I do think he'll have a lesser load, and he may be able to reach that higher level again. I think he was first team All Pro once. I do think he'll be able to reach that level with the players, with Jesse Minter coming along. So I do think the Baltimore Ravens can very much retool and be right. They can be right there again. They can be right there again. The best news is, and also very quickly, the Baltimore Ravens, they've restructured Lamar Jackson's contract, creating about $40 million in cap space for 2026. A lot of these quarterbacks are restructuring their contracts, and I need to learn how they're doing it, because it just seems like they're just creating money out of thin. Obviously, it's not creating money out of thin air, but a lot of them are doing it. Something I need to look in how that's being done. But anyways, that sets up the Ravens pretty well, because I think, and keep in mind all the speculation that was going on before the season ended, after the season ended, is Lamar Jackson going to be moved? I think it's becoming even more and more clear that Lamar is on board. And if Lamar is on board, I think the Ravens are good. I think, because it's not only that, hey, they're set up for this year. I think they can set themselves up for the next couple years, because if you're not gonna, or not, if you're not gonna, use those two first round picks for a premier player, that still sets you up in the draft, and the Ravens draft very well. So from that perspective, they have the cap space. I do think, I personally wouldn't want to see an AJ Brown trade. I do think I think you'll just have to work in the draft, and especially after losing out on Linderbaum, and the offensive line was pretty bad last year. You're gonna need to invest a lot of resources there. So I don't think a premier receiver is what the Ravens need right now. I mean, truth be told, I think the Ravens, like going to 2026, it should all be about the defense. Hey, Lamar, just settle down there, and when your number is called, go win the game. But I think 2026 needs to be all about the defense, because they have a lot of holes on the offense, and I don't think it's fair to say, oh, AJ Brown is going to solve it. Tyreek Hill signing makes sense to me. Maybe not a premier number one, but a premier like 15th best receiver. I'll take that. I don't know if there's anything out there right now. Probably not. But the draft pick, you're probably looking at your offensive line, maybe something on the defense, but they have a lot of holes. But I do think they have a path forward, because before this, you lose two first round picks and you just add Max Crosby, which was why I didn't. And again, I'll go through this again, relitigate it. Right? It's just they lost a lot of pieces and just added Max Crosby, and it's like now they're Super Bowl or bust. It's like, what? This is not a good team. And now you get to keep your first round picks, your two, and you sign Hendrickson to a pretty good deal, and you have $40 million in cap space. Now I think the Ravens have a path forward. Now I think they have a vision. And now I'm pretty excited to see what they're able to do with all this because it's looking pretty bright. Because I'll be honest, going into this offseason, the part that really was making me nervous is that Lamar is going to be moved. It's just like felt very odd. But with restructuring the contract, he's on board. He's on board. They created more cap space. They brought in a is he still a premier pass rusher? They brought him in, and they get to keep their first round picks, and they could potentially make another trade, make another move, go into free agency, go in the draft, and just retool. If you're asking me, 2026 is all about retooling. If you ask me, at the end of the season, the Ravens, they get eliminated in divisional. I think it's progress. Obviously, you want to win the Super Bowl, but I think 2026 is all about a retool, and I think the Ravens. Yeah. So, anyways, I like it. Trey Hendrickson. People are making photoshops of Hendrickson with tattoos on him. He's saying, he still got Crosby, but no, he's a phenomenal player. And I do think with the help that he can get from the Ravens infrastructure, he's gonna have less of a load on his shoulder, and he's gonna be a very good player.